You've probably heard this before. Bikes stay up because of gyroscopic effects. It sounds scientific, convincing, but it's not the full story. In fact, you can design a bicycle where the gyroscopic effect is reduced or even cancelled, and it can still balance. So what's really going on? Why does a bike feel stable when it's moving, but the moment it stops, it collapses? Let's start with something simple. Take a bicycle, stand still. Try to balance it without moving. It's hard. The slightest tilt, and it falls. Now start riding. Suddenly, it feels natural, almost effortless. You're not thinking about balance, yet somehow you're not falling. So what changed? Let's look closely at what falling actually means. When a bike begins to tip to one side, gravity pulls it down. That part is obvious. But here's the real question. What would it take to stop that fall? Not strength, not stiffness, but motion. If the bike starts falling to the left, the only way to recover is to move the wheels underneath that fall. In other words, you steer into the fall, and you already do this automatically. Imagine riding slowly. The bike leans slightly to the left. What happens? Without thinking, you turn the handlebars slightly to the left. That shifts the wheels under your center of mass and prevents the fall. It's like when you trip while walking. You don't freeze, you step forward to catch yourself. Balancing a bike works the same way. So balancing isn't about avoiding falling, it's about correcting falling. Constantly. Now here's where it gets interesting. You might think, okay, that's me doing all the work. But the bike itself plays a role, a very clever one. Imagine pushing a bicycle forward without a rider. Just give it a gentle push. For a short distance, it can stay upright. Sometimes, if it starts to lean slightly, the front wheel turns in that direction. How? There's no rider, no decision-making. So what's causing the steering? The answer lies in the bike's design. Look at the front fork. The axis it rotates around is tilted, and the point where the front wheel touches the ground sits slightly behind that axis. This small offset is called trail. But think of it like this. The wheel is being pulled along behind the steering axis, like a shopping cart wheel. And what do those wheels do? They naturally align with the direction of motion. A bicycle's front wheel behaves similarly. Now imagine the bike starts to lean left. Because of the geometry and motion, the front wheel tends to steer left. Not perfectly, not always enough on its own, but in the right conditions, it helps. And when it turns left, it moves under the falling bike, reducing the fall. So the bike has a built-in tendency to steer into a lean. That's a big part of the story, but not the whole story, because motion still matters. If the bike isn't moving, none of this helps. No forward motion, no ability to catch the fall. It's like balancing a broom on your hand. You don't keep your hand still. You move it constantly to stay under the broom. A bicycle does something similar, but through rolling. Speed gives time for corrections. Too slow, and the fall happens faster than you can react. Fast enough, and small steering adjustments keep you upright. Now let's return to the idea we started with. Gyroscopic effects. Yes, spinning wheels do resist changes in orientation. You can feel it if you spin a wheel and try to tilt it. And this does contribute to stability. But here's the key point. Even without strong gyroscopic effects, a properly designed bike can still balance while moving. Which means that's not the main reason. The real reason is this. When a bike begins to fall, it can steer in a way that helps correct that fall. Sometimes because of the rider, sometimes helped by the bike's geometry, usually both working together. Now let's go one level deeper. Balancing a bike is not a static situation. It's not about holding a perfect position. It's a dynamic process, a continuous loop. You lean slightly, you correct slightly, again and again, so fast that it feels like stability. But it's not stillness. It's controlled instability. And this idea appears everywhere. When you walk, you're actually falling forward. Each step catches that fall. Running, even more so. Even standing still. Your body makes tiny, invisible adjustments to keep you upright. So balance in the real world isn't about being perfectly still. It's about responding continuously. Now imagine a different kind of bike, one that cannot steer at all, even if it moves fast, even if the wheels spin. The moment it tilts, it cannot correct, and it will fall, because without steering, there's no way to move under the fall. So stability doesn't come from resisting motion, it comes from using motion. That's the deeper idea. The bike doesn't fight falling. It works with it. It redirects it. And that's what creates balance. So the next time you ride a bicycle, remember what's really happening. You're not perfectly balanced. You're constantly falling and correcting over and over without even noticing. And the bike? It's quietly helping you, steering just enough at just the right time. So why don't bikes fall over? Because they never stop falling. They just keep correcting it.